here and we are live. I'm gonna start it also live on Instagram. So connecting streaming software to go live. I connected it. See, every time I do it wrong.
You do?
Yeah, I'm still kind of trying. Oh, here we go. Yeah. Ta-chang! We'll just
You
delay
got
a
it?
second. Instagram people, hey, what's up? Back to YouTube. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. I call it the Three Monkeys, a place that you can say, I did not hear, did not see, I did not say. You have all the responsibility and all the knowledge that you need nowadays at the palm of your hand to know everything you need to know, just a little bit research. Today's episode, I'm not going to even say that I'm going to interview. One does
Nah.
not just simply say he's going to interview Eitan. Eitan is a
What?
friend. Yeah. Eitan is a friend. Eitan is a brother. Eitan is honestly one of the first, I would call it influencers. I didn't even know that I'm an influencer until I met Eitan in a meeting in Israel. And that's when the first time that I realized that I'm doing advocacy and that I'm an influencer because people told me, hey, you're an influencer. And that's where this friendship started. He is one of the kindest humans that I know, one of the very
Wow.
special, I would call them content creators. He's very active on X, on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram. Actually, his YouTube channel also, we're working on it right now. I want to do as much as I can to help his YouTube channel grow bigger and bigger. And
Thank
because
you,
he
Musa.
haven't been giving it enough attention like he's been giving
None.
to other
None.
platforms. Exactly. So
None.
anyone
I
who's
don't know
watching
what
this
I'm doing.
video, guys, stop watching me for a second. Go to his channel. Do it quickly. I'm not gonna talk about anything important. I promise you. Do a share, do a like, do a subscribe, join his channel, click the bell, and come back to mine. We want to bring him as much YouTube love as we can. We're going to be
Thank
talking
you.
about something very, no, you're welcome, man. We're going to be talking about something very interesting, ladies and gentlemen, and that is
Yeah.
the burnout of pro-Israel activists and what happened after. And I'm
Mm.
gonna I'm gonna throw a question at you, Eitan.
Let's do it.
The hostages finally got home.
Mm.
The live ones, they're working on bringing all the dead ones, and all of a sudden we find ourselves after who knows how many days, more than 600, 700 days, just relentlessly, not day in and night, especially people like us,
Yeah.
barely sleeping, all the time digesting this information, reliving it again and again so we can explain it to our audience back home in the best way possible. So we're actually, people ask me, like, we're reliving it, we're not taking a moment of rest. And all of a sudden, all the hostages are back. The greatest news, the day we've been waiting for. And you find yourself sitting and asking yourself, what's next? Where did that catch you?
So, first of all, hi. And hello to everyone. That was such a nice introduction. And it is weird because we're mates. Yeah. So, this is the most natural thing to talk. But um, where did it catch me? There was a feeling of euphoria here in Tel Aviv when the hostages actually started coming. In the period when we knew that they were going to be released, there was a lot of anxiety. People didn't believe it. I didn't believe it. I didn't think that we'd get our hostages back. We've been fighting for them, and but it was, could this really could this really be happening? And all of the worry that comes with that. And then they started coming back over the course of a period of time. And then there remained the deceased hostages, which we need to get back, all of them, of course. But let's just say that when the live ones returned, all of a sudden, it was very difficult to even express what we were all going through, because it's so, like, it's, as a collective in Israel, we're all going through it together. As a collective, the Jewish people and our allies like you, people who subscribe to our values, and you're a proud Israeli. Um, it was bizarre. And so on a very personal level, where it caught me was confusion,
Hmm.
because on October 7th, and every advocate has their own story, but I've been advocating for around 15 years online.
Wow.
Yeah, and I know what it's like to advocate when there's no drama.
Hmm.
When we're all just continuing with our lives. But this has been a nonstop, relentless, dramatic, emotional, mental, psychological experience of trauma that we've all been going through. And everyone reacts to that differently. I was confused, and very focused on my continuing mission, which I'll talk to you about. But in the moment, very confused. We are all winging it. We are all going with the flow and taking it not a day at a time, not an hour at a time, but in that period, we were taking it literally a minute at a time because it was difficult. We wanted them back
Yeah.
so quickly. And it's
Yeah.
also the whole country, the whole Jewish people and the people who have been fighting the fight who are not Jewish. This is what we've been doing nonstop. So all of a sudden, the big return, and now what do we do? Now what do I do?
It was a
And
roller
it's
coaster, man.
confusing. It's a
Yeah, it
roller,
was a
and
roller coaster.
it still
But
is.
but I want to unpack something that you just said right now.
Mhm.
Most content creators that I know today in this sphere of advocacy started it in the heat of the drama. After October 7, they just jumped in and went to the flag to
Yeah,
defend their country, our values, and to share, and to counter the enemies that are coming to, demonize Israel and spread lies. But you've been doing it for 15 years. You've been doing it when there was no drama, when there was drama, spikes and down. And I want to open that because I think that's a very important thing. How do we continue moving forward without being addicted to the drama? You know what I'm
hmm
saying? Because
I do. Yep.
some people might get addicted to the drama and then they want to keep creating a drama because it's been their bread and butter so far. It's been the content creation. Suddenly your videos drop from every post, you tweet that you put out there, get like 100,000 views. Suddenly it goes down to 10,000 views, which is genuinely good if you think about it in terms of the situation around you. People are maybe less tuned about it because finally all the hustles are back and maybe we can just a little bit rest a little bit. But some people might get so addicted to trying to create that drama again and again.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it might come from an evil place, it just might come because they don't know anything else. They joined
Yeah.
it in the drama.
Yeah, I think that we're seeing that, and we've been seeing it for a long time. Look, I don't do what I do. Look, I'm married. I've got two kids. I've got my own business, as you know. I have a branding agency, and advocacy is not my gig. It's not a job for me. It's something that I've always done as a passion. But since October 7th, my work started getting a lot more traction to the point where I have like almost 250,000 followers across different platforms. But I don't do the work for to be an online influencer. I have a job. Um, what I'm seeing is that sometimes to and by the way, I want to reiterate what you just said. It's not coming from a bad place. The when we see dramatic pieces that are trying to get you to engage, I know that that's necessary sometimes. But what I am concerned about the fact that sometimes if something wasn't said and not turned into something, then no one would have really um, been talking about it. So there is a creation of drama for clicks and for followers and for likes and comments for your um, message to travel. That's part of the online game. The danger is that are we really talking about the right things? Are we really doing this for the right reasons? And what I can tell you is that when you are fighting the good fight for, in this case for Israel, um, we've got drama. It's really about what is the impact that you're making. Are you really getting through to the right people?
Yeah.
And I don't know that that's always the case. I also think that I don't think that the solution is going to come necessarily from social media. There's also a lot of behind the scenes communications and narrative work, and in diplomacy and with business, also in entrepreneurship, and all sorts of things that are needed. And social media is
Yeah,
one of those things. But I think that we want to stay away from unnecessary drama and want to move towards authentic um, talking as people, not as entertainers. Um,
yeah,
it, and I think that that's, some people are like, we're more entertaining, and then some people are, we're more making the storytelling the way that we need to, with a little bit of an entertainment to get people in.
yeah.
But
You know,
it's hard to, because
to
you don't want to
balance.
judge anyone also, because people are doing good
No,
work.
no, I don't want to touch it all. And I'm even like, I'm just pondering and thinking out loud with you. I actually think that
Hmm.
the best explanation I have is something that I've learned when I was in the officer academy in the IDF. It was a lesson that
Hmm.
actually Gal Hirsch taught us that. It was one of the most impressive lectures that we had with him. He says, as an officer, you would rather have a battle horse, like a sus abir, it's a night horse,
Susabil, yeah.
yeah, than perdatzela, a lazy mule or a lazy donkey. And the whole idea is the lazy donkey, like imagine you're trying to climb up a mountain and just trying to push him up. He doesn't want to move, and you're like pushing it with your shoulders. Come on, move, move. And he's not moving because he's lazy,
Hmm.
or he doesn't want to move. He doesn't want to take initiative. He just want to stay in his place. And a night horse, a susabir, is like this battle horse that is like fuming and you just want to go to battle and you need to all the time. Like the knight is sitting on him, trying to calm him down while he's
Hmm.
trying to talk to someone. And it's like, like this. And it's better to have soldiers in your team that are night horses that you need to hold them down all the time. And then with a lot of energy and have it used and just have guide them a little bit. So I think in the sphere of social media, we've been so asleep for so long, Israel,
Hmm.
that now that we finally have this culture of vloggers, of streamers, of people that are just going out there, some of them more provocative, some of them are doing it for personal gain, even some of them are doing it for,
Sure.
deep ideology. It doesn't matter. I think in the big picture, it's good because we're countering the other side that has already been doing it for so long. And here we go. Like you see what's happening in the colleges and all around the world. It was a work of 25 years of us not doing that and they doing that.
Yep,
So I think
absolutely.
even the drama ones, I like them. You know, I just think that it might be like young Bedouin, listen to the older ones. We're sitting here and want to tell you that it's a long run. We're here for the
Yeah,
long run. And
I
someone like
think
you
I
would probably know that.
well, I think you're absolutely right. And that's, again, when we're saying what we're saying, there's no judgment, because a lot of the young advocates, and older advocates that are trying to entice people to hear their message are doing what they can because it's an important message. And I think that that's important to do. At the same time, um, there are veterans who have been doing this, and it's not exciting when there's no crisis. And I think that what happened was, on October 7th, a lot of people came in, whether it was new people, or new people on social media, or that all of a sudden they blew up, or people who had an established following which just grew, people like me. Um, I feel that we need to understand that this is a long-term war. And when we came on board on October 7th, everyone, it was 2 years, it has been 2 years of crisis, of nonstop, of 24/7. And there is burnout when that happens. So
Hmm.
at this stage, I think we need to process what we've just been through. I mean, as you know, when you come out of a war, whether you were a soldier, or whether you were in the narrative war, or whether you were a volunteer and you put everything on the side to fight the war in your own way, there are personal ramifications for that a lot of people are experiencing, that I don't think enough people are talking about, which is why I wanted to do this conversation with you.
Hmm.
But you now have to recalibrate and start thinking, okay, everything that everyone has done for 2 years was just to get our story out there and to own our identity as Israelis or as Jews, or in your case, of course, we're supporting the plight of the Druze, your people. Um, Now we have to kind of process all of that and come up with what's the long-term goal here? You can't sustain drama like that, because I think then you're contributing to the unnecessary um, kind of things that don't really help. We need to marry facts with emotion without becoming social media whores. And I think that
you're feeding the beast that you hate. You're feeding the beast that is consuming you. We all have some, especially us, who've been working in the sphere for a very long time now, and we got censored, we got shadow banned, we got the
Mhm,
whole shebang. Every one of us,
all of it.
experienced it to a different level.
Mhm.
And we built like sometimes emotions about like how much we like and despise this social media world. We've seen the good and the ugly of it from inside, literally from the trenches, because we're in the front, and there's good and there's bad in it. And just like you said, if you don't pay attention, you might end up being, another cog in the machine that is feeding what you started as hating or standing against: misinformation, um, dividing people. I know for a fact that me and you and many others that we know, we're not looking to divide people.
No,
We're not looking to incite hatred. We're not looking to incite any phobia of any kind that is unjustified. And I'm saying unjustified because some things in life you should be worried about.
sure.
Radical jihad, radical Islam, there's a very good reason to have a phobia from that. You should
Yep.
have a phobia from hippos. I'm just going to say that very clearly. I've been to Africa several times. A phobia from hippos is good. If you go in the safari and you see a hippo, run for your life. It might look cute
Stay
and
away.
cuddly. They're the apex predators and they're vicious. So there's some
Yes.
phobias that are just good. But anyway, my point is that in that, you know, pursue, you might easily forget it. It's like the saying in Batman, we're gonna nerd out here, but when he tells him die a hero or live long enough to become the villain, something like that. Remember that?
Mm.
Christopher
Mhm,
Nolan's, I
mhm,
think, The Dark Knight. So the same thing in social media. You need to be careful that you don't be. You know what? I look right now, I'm seeing this trend,
mhm.
and I don't know if you noticed. I've seen this trend in the US. You see it with Tucker Carlson, with Candace Owens. You're even seeing it with Sean Ryan. I don't know if you know him. He have an interesting podcast as well, and others that they're shifting all the time based on the crowd. All of a
Which
sudden,
is which
America
yeah.
first, then suddenly not America first anymore, not mega anymore, America first, but anti-Israel. Next day is like anti-Muslim Brotherhood, and it's very hard to stay consistent when you're only trying to be trendy, you know?
And it's not difficult to stay consistent when you are about values, because values
Exactly.
and good values are timeless. And I think I mean, I sometimes I have very boring content, but it's something that I want to say. I'm not looking to enrage. I'm not looking to dramatize. I'm looking to spread um, inclusivity, unity, and to come around good values. And unfortunately, as you know, that's not exactly the most conducive thing to people tuning in. They want the drama, um, and we have to be at least aware of that. And then in terms of content creators, if we do that, fine, but we're aware of what we're doing and we're making an informed decision, as opposed to falling into this trap of feeding this beast that ultimately we really don't want to do, because that's not who we are. And I think that um, it's also difficult to continue to, because let's get back to the burnout thing. It's difficult to talk about such traumatizing, sad, depressing, hopeless sometimes content, and to stay hopeful and positive and nurturing people with we're going to be okay. It's exhausting, and we don't. Let's face it. I mean, we should talk about burnout, because this is
Hmm.
the conversation.
Yeah.
I don't want to sound like any of us are complaining, but people joke about the $7,000. I'm being paid $7,000 by the Israeli government. Let's put the jokes aside for a second. We're not getting much support
No.
as a community of advocates. And so when you're not getting support and you read the article that is damaging to Israel, you write the script, you rewrite the script, you do the take, you redo the take, you do it again, then you edit it, then you add music, then you add subtitles, then you post it, then you find a collaborator,
Then you
then
watch the video again and
then you
again
watch the
to
video
see, and
over and
some
over, and then you
horrific videos.
communicate. Yeah,
Yeah.
horrific videos, and then you communicate with your audience. This is the work of an advocate. And there are professional advocates that this is their career and they want 500,000 followers so that they can monetize. Great. And then there are people like me who are, this is not my profession and I'm trying to keep going. But the burnout of doing such negative 24/7 work without proper support, because no one has really been supporting. I mean, of course, we have our private donations that people give, and I'm very grateful for what I've received. And I'm sure, we have our Patreons and we're getting a little bit of money, which we're grateful for. But it's not organized,
Yeah.
and
I
we are
opened
not
my
getting.
Patreon. I opened my Patreon thanks to you. I don't even remember that.
I
I
do.
called you. I called you
Yeah,
one day, and I came and I told you, listen, man, I need to talk to you. And you said, you gave me time, and I know you were very
of
busy.
course.
And I told you, I'm
No,
going to be honest with you. You're a father. I'm a father. You're a family member, man. I'm a family man. I have mouths to feed. I have responsibility, not just for myself, for the future. And I wanted to ask you, like, genuinely, because I've been doing, like, back then, every day a video for 90 days with
mhm,
nothing, like literally not expecting a penny in return, just doing it because I said to myself, I'll do a video until every hostage is back. And after 90 days, I realized, okay, we might be here for the long run.
yeah,
And I got like serious questions by the mother of my child. She came and told me, listen, either go back to your last job or get a job here, at the local somewhere in Germany, or, you need to do something about it. I mean, I support you. I love what you're doing. I think it's great, for your country. You're standing. It's very noble, but you need to also be able to carry yourself financially. And then I called you and I said, how can I do that? And you
mm.
told me it's difficult. I'm still trying to figure it out myself, but you were
And I'm
very
still
honest.
trying to. I'm
Yeah,
still
and
trying
we're
to figure it
both.
out.
But you were very honest, and you told me like, okay, I opened Patreon, and I was just very honest with the people in Patreon, and I literally copy paste what you did. You came and told me, like, I told them I won't be able to make you personalized videos or send you like too many like thank you videos
Behind the
because
scenes things.
behind the
Yeah.
scenes I wish I could, but right now I'm doing this. But if you want to support me, that's a way to support. And then I went and I did the same. I opened my
Mm.
Patreon and I said, hey guys, I'm full on with my work. I'm a full-time dad. I'm a full-time family member. I'm doing this out of my own free time. And I might not have enough time to give you these personal videos, but if you want to support, that's the place. And Patreon was one of the first backbones that helped me kind of stand on my feet to
Yeah.
justify the time that I'm investing here in terms of economical responsibility. But just like you said, it was not nearly enough. I was still, burning into my accounts, burning into my savings from my previous jobs, from my
Sure.
military career, and etc. And, opening it now, we're here to talk honestly, and also for the audience to kind of know, what do you think is the biggest challenge for you right now when it comes on keeping doing what you're doing?
Look, I think the biggest challenge for me personally is this responsibility that I feel, of, at least in my case, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to speak to the Jewish people. I'm trying to show the Jewish people through narrative and through telling our story in many, many different ways that it's important to always speak up and to show who we are so that people better understand us. If I can inspire Jewish people to speak up, one person at a time, and have more of us speak up for the long run, always, to not hide our identity and to double down on it, then that is my personal goal. to continue doing that, I have done this before October 7th when things were calm. It doesn't mean that it was calm. I was, in 20, I think it was what, was it the last war was 2020? It was 5 years ago.
Yeah, I think so.
I think it was 5 years ago. And I've spoken about this before,
Crazy.
but I was, after we went to war with Hamas, and it was 24/7. I did the same thing. I put my work to the side, and for a month, for 24/7, I was advocating films, posters, messages before a lot of people were doing it. And this was just 5 years ago. And after 3 weeks, I was hospitalized for exhaustion.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was in hospital for 10 days, and and
Wow.
I'm a and I'm a and I'm a working man. I'm a family man, but it was like no one is doing the work that's necessary to speak up right now when there's anti-Semitism blowing up everywhere. And Kanye was talking 5 years ago, so I was doing a lot of that work and not getting any support. And here we are 5 years later, where we've just had a massive war with thousands of people dead. I'm talking about on the Israeli side and the Jewish side, and of course on their side, on the Palestinian side, but thousands dead. No narrative, no government spokesperson, no Jewish organizations or allies of Jewish organizations fueling money into people who have for 2 years, certain people have risen to the occasion, and you can see the work that they're doing. You can see that there are hundreds of millions of views of, my work alone has been viewed over 300 million times.
It's
So
crazy.
I'm worried. Yeah, I'm worried that if you're not getting support now, then who is getting the support? Who is going to organize and craft the messaging that is required to let people know who we are, as in my case, as the Jewish people, and as in both of our cases, as proud Israelis who know our country very well. We know its shortcomings, and we know what we're good at, and how we are good. And the fact that people don't know that, who is driving that? And that's the thing that really concerns me at the macro level. On the micro level is, how do I continue? And I know a lot of advocates are thinking that you put your heart and soul into it because you care, you have passion, you have know-how, you're getting traction, something is working. Where are the people coming in to support those people? So on the micro level, yeah, it's concerning. Now listen, I have a job, so I'm able to put food on the table, but the more advocacy I do, the less I'm investing in my business. And it's a concern, because you've got to put
Mm-hmm.
your family first. And after 2 years, I'm looking forward to someone knocking on my door and saying, "Hey, I'd really like to support you." Uh, and with all due respect to the people that donate a little bit of money on Patreon, which is so appreciated and really does help. I'm
Backbone.
talking
Yeah.
about like more help, like people who are people of means, organizations that can get behind what you're doing because it's working and amplify it. That's
Mm-hmm.
the biggest concern to me right now. And also, I'll say one last thing. It's all very well when there's drama, but what do you do when there is no drama? That is the world that I've been living in for 15 years on the side. Sometimes there's no drama, and I still speak up,
Mm-hmm.
because it's important to. And we need to make sure that the Jewish leadership, or the new young Jewish leaders, or the old Jewish leaders who have risen to the occasion, and institutions and organizations and governments or what have you, understand that it is a forever war. The narrative, this thing that we're doing, and the content that we put out, has the objective of making people understand the truth. And if you let your enemies alone, and your enemies are liars, and they fabricate and they destroy truth, you got to fight that. And that requires an investment of time
Mm-hmm.
and money and resources, which our enemies got.
I think our battlefront is the future. In kind of different than other maybe warfares. We're fighting for the future. It's kind of like the Edge of Tomorrow, that movie. You're always trying to understand what's going to be in the future and then counter it in terms of political mind shift and hatred and anti-Semitism and racism and etc. and caring for the future that you want to leave for your children and for the people of Israel and for truth in general, minorities in the Middle East, Jews in Syria and Lebanon, and Christians in Africa and etc. For me, one of the, I would say, the hardest things was once in a while to ask myself, is it worth it what I'm doing?
Mm-hmm.
Because I would sometimes, I wake up in the morning and I love what I'm doing. I made this actually a full-time job to do content creation right now because my last job was in the world of security and it was very demanding. And I said, I gotta completely give myself to this. But once in a while, I ask myself, is it really worth it? I'm putting my videos out there. I'm putting my
Mm-hmm.
face out there. People can see me, can see my family.
Mm-hmm.
People can record what I'm saying, can use what I'm saying against me. I'm risking for people to come and maybe choose to harm me for what I
Mm-hmm.
stand for. I'm putting my face. I'm not just retweeting pictures in an account that is just full of a lot of images. Some people do that and good for them. I'm
Mm-hmm.
putting my face, I'm putting my voice, and I'm doing all of that. No one is paying me. The government is not sending me $7,000 a month. And also, I accepted that. Very fast, I realized no one is going to
Yeah.
pay me. Don't get that
Yeah.
illusion. Do it. And if you're good at it, and if you're fortunate and lucky enough, maybe people will support. Maybe YouTube, the monetization system, I don't know what, will help you keep going. But you got to do it yourself. You have
Yeah.
to do it yourself, and you're going to fight for it yourself. And I was fine with that. It took me like maybe 5 minutes to ponder, think about it. Nah, Israeli government is not going to support. The West is not creating these mechanisms like the Arabs are doing with Qatar and sponsorship. That we're not doing that. So I'm doing this because I believe in it, and I'm going to keep doing it, and I just love what I'm doing also.
Mm-hmm.
But then once in a while, I ask myself, is it worth it? The time that I'm investing in it and the price that I might pay.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the hardest moments when I asked myself these questions, especially when it comes to security wise. Like to think that maybe, you saw what happened to Charlie Kirk
Sure.
and others. I live in Europe. And every time that I ask myself this question, I promise myself not to just neglect it, just say, yeah, of course it is, because that's the right thing to do. Like, really think about it, man. So, and every time I think about it, it says, yes, it is worth it. Because I think one of the most powerful thing that you can do is have a voice and an intellect behind it. That is, thing, I was a soldier in the army. I had a weapon. I know the power that weapon can give you, but weapon can give powers to cowards as well. You can have a
Sure.
coward, 16 years old, holding a gun, and he can suddenly think that they have a weapon, or a Hamas guy holding innocent people in a cave, holding a weapon next to them and sexually abusing them, and you think you have power. But that's not real power. But if you have the power of intellect, the power of speaking, and you
Mm-hmm.
use it to stand for good, you use it to stand to help advocate for what is right, then boy, you are a superhero in my eyes. My kid want to think that his father is a superhero, and I think that's the version that I can give him, that superhero, as a father that actually cared about the world and used his wit, his intellect, and his personality, everything about me, about you, used it to put it out there. So that's when I remind myself that it is worth it, at least for me. It's worth
I
it what I'm doing.
and I think you're doing it for your. I mean, as a father, I can tell you my answer is I'm doing it for my children. They don't even know, but like, how can I? How can I? I'm trying to lead by example. I'm a specialist in communications. I'm a branding guy. I'm a passionate Jew. I'm not religious. I'm a secular Jew, but I'm proud of my heritage. I'm a proud Israeli with the good and the bad, uh, just like any other country. And I don't want to be on the sidelines as people are literally um, creating lies about my identity and their identity, and they will suffer for that. So I'm trying to protect them and to arm them by leading by example that I will be openly Jewish, I will be openly Israeli. We have nothing to hide. And what a world where the people who are spreading such hatred are winning the narrative war right now. I think that what you're saying is it is worth it. I'm just hoping that people, one person at a time, start doing the same thing. And we've started, but it's a Herculean effort and it's an uphill struggle. And let's talk
Hmm.
about the burnout again. Let's talk about all the advocates that are tired and exhausted and feel abandoned and don't know what to say anymore and who are themselves suffering. They feel guilty talking about it because of the soldiers who have died, the hostages who have been taken. It's, you don't want to sound like you're complaining, but you're in the public eye all the time. And I think that the bottom line is these people, and not all the advocates, but a lot of advocates need support. And I think the general public needs to understand the price that they're paying. It's I was sitting down for dinner with a good friend today, and I haven't seen him in a while, and we had a really nice time. And I was trying to talk to him about what I've been going through. It's not a fun thing to talk about, or an interesting thing to talk about with anything else. I think if you and I have a conversation, or if I sit down and I talk to Shai Davidai or Ellie or Melissa or
I,
Melinda or any of the
I
people that
love
we
Ellie.
know,
I love Ellie. I love him, man.
yeah,
He's such a cool guy.
we he's a great guy. But there is a price, and we don't feel comfortable talking about it. Um, and I think that that's something that advocates need to do a little bit more. And maybe I'm saying this to advocates right now, to talk with your friends, to talk to your family about the loneliness of content creation, and without feeling like you're complaining, because it's I don't know about you, Mansoor, but like, I don't want to sound like I'm complaining. I feel blessed, but at the same time, I know that what I'm doing is hard. I know that financially it's hard. I know that spiritually it's hard. I know that I'm trying to provide hope for people when I'm being, when missiles are raining down on me, which it is hard. I can get
True.
through it. I'm a big boy, but it isn't easy. And I think that that's what a lot of people are feeling. And I'm talking about the big advocates. There has been a drop in momentum for the work that we're doing, because people are tired of hearing it, because it's traumatizing. I want
Hmm.
something positive. I want something uplifting. I want to fucking look at kittens and but you know what? That's great, and I do too. But at the same time, the work does need to continue. So I don't think advocates are talking about that, but there is a challenge there. There is an absolute challenge there,
No,
and we
definitely.
need to address it.
I think you're very right. I think maybe it's very crucial, maybe, to for advocates to go and seek help before they find themselves needing help. Like if someone needs to go to counseling, I think it's a good idea.
Yeah,
Go talk to
absolutely.
someone. If you need to go and talk to your friends or family, I know that I barely talk about the challenges of my job with anyone.
Sure.
And, you know, one of the reasons is sometimes I just don't feel the need for it, but that's also a mistake. And also sometimes I'm just too busy, because the job never stops. There's always something happening, always something you want to talk about. And then you can easily find yourself neglecting something that is crazy, man. You are literally in like hands deep in radicalism, terrorism, hatred, racism. Like you're talking about all these things that are,
All the shit of
all
the
this
world, the
shit, all the
shit of the
shit of the
world.
world. You're in it, you're researching it, you're trying to understand it, you're digesting it in your brain so you can put it out there, in a very simple, easy to understand way for the audience to understand complex matters. And if you don't think that you should pay attention for a second, that you are not scarring yourself, that is probably super irresponsible. I think that is, the burnout, the trauma that you can get from it, especially if you're strong or if you're someone that is
Especially also,
used to.
yeah, and I think that we're a little older, you know. I'm 54, like I said, I have two kids, I have a wife. I'm not 25. I can look at this um with a different lens. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this, and look, it's a little, it's sharing a bit of a vulnerability, and also, I was sitting down, Mansoor, with a wonderful person who was trying to help me with raising some money. And she said, people who invest, they want to be part of a, she said, you know, they they want to make sure that you're going to beat the odds for them to invest in you. And you have to
Mhm.
put on a happy face and everything's great. But you know what? Maybe because I'm a little bit older and you're a little bit older and we're a little bit more seasoned, we can maybe encourage our community of advocates to speak a little bit more openly without the guilt, and to take care of yourselves, because a lot of people in the audience might not understand that coming up with these things, yeah, you might see us going and speaking somewhere and there's 1,000 people in the audience, or you might see 10,000 comments in the comment section. But what it really is the person is typically sitting in the room and creating, and they're alone. And that's really hard. And to
Mhm.
carry all of the negative stuff that you talked about. Remember I told you about my friend? So what I was trying to tell him was, he spends his time on his day job, and then, maybe 5% of the time he watches the news, or, like during the war, maybe there was a little bit more. But what most advocates were doing was 90% of the time you're watching the news, and then you're translating that news into something that will arm someone else. So it empties you a little bit. You're filling other people, but you're emptying yourself. And mentally, what you're saying about getting support, you need to be filled up with good stuff again. And I think that's the support that the audience can give as well, that they might not
Mhm.
be aware of. Like, you can support advocates, by giving them $3 a month, $5 a month. Imagine someone who has 50,000 followers and everyone gave them $1 a month. If they really like the content and it's really helping them and they're getting informed and it uplifts them and it gives them hope, that's something that is
No, that is basic
it's no
muscle.
one's talking about that, because
Yeah.
you don't want to piss people off, and you don't want to come across as a loser, and you don't want to sound like you're complaining, and there are hostages and there are soldiers. But there are kids. I mean, I'm, like I said, 54, but there are kids who are 25 years old who are really struggling mentally, and they're doing exceptional work to strengthen people sitting at home, who at the end of their content, they like feel a little better, or they have something to arm themselves with education. Support those people either mentally, or with money, or reach out to them. That's why we're doing it. Is we're doing community work.
Yeah, no,
Does
there
that
is
make
the
sense?
that makes a lot of sense, man. There's a Masello pyramid, when I was studying psychology. I hope I'm not butchering his name. That
Mhm.
came and said, the basic needs, and undoubtedly you cannot ignore the stability, financial stability needs. When someone doesn't have the financial stability, it's very hard for him to be happy about a lot of other things in life because he's very consumed and worried about it. And if someone is a young new content creator that is trying to put his heart into the game and he sees that he cannot take, he's just going to either burn out or go back and stop doing it, or just have a terrible experience, a meltdown, a burnout, and then never come do it again. I think in general, like me and you might even have the advantage that we already have a family, like
Yeah.
that
Yep.
grounds you in. Like I know, and then I think a lot of time about young content creators who show their face out there. They're happy, they're charismatic, they're full of energy, but
And they're
they're dealing
miserable.
with all the shit, but they're
They're
miserable.
miserable.
And they don't have that little kid that runs to you when he comes back from school and just hugs your leg and jumps on you and jump on the bed, wakes you up by like cuddling with you
Y-
under the blanket. They don't have that. That gives a lot of energy, and a lot of
Yeah.
people don't even have
100%.
that, and they're alone, and on top of everything they're not making any money. They're burning time and emotions and feelings, pouring themselves out on this advocacy. That can definitely be hard, and just like you said, sometimes people just by a small contribution can literally help make that difference. We don't want to sound here greedy or trying to convince you guys, hey, everyone give us $1, but
No, that's not what this is about.
in general, that is something to pay attention when you see these content creators. Sometimes you don't think what is happening behind the scene, and that is a lot of work and a lot of emotions, and also
And
a lot
failure
of
and feelings of failure, by the way. We don't talk
failure,
about that,
fear
but
from
like,
failure.
imagine
Yeah.
imagine that you are, you're an look, I don't want to, like, being an influencer is a profession. I'm not an influencer. That's not my profession. Everything I'm doing is passion, and I'm trying to cover my costs and do what I need to do there. But a lot of people who are in this, Jewish advocates, are, they want to be influencers. They want 400,000 people on YouTube so that they can monetize, and that's their job. They want to do that on X. They want to do that on Facebook. And if you are constantly looking for the success of that, and you're not getting the support that you need, what might happen is that a lot of these people, and some of them are shit, and some of them are doing it for the wrong reasons, but a lot of people that you and I know are good and doing it for the right reasons. But if you don't get the support that you need, and the message stops going out there, and this is your profession, it's what you're saying before. You're going to start making things to appease your audience, as opposed to making things because it's something that we all need to subscribe to, better values or whatever. And when you go down that road, because you need to survive, then you might start losing really talented warriors who are actually making a difference. So the audience plays, I think, a critical role in supporting influencers, advocates, call them what you will, from burnout, by showing them appreciation. There is an audience, and I don't want to come across as some whiny crybaby and we need attention and all that. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about mental support. It's lonely, it's
Yeah.
traumatic, it's been going on 24/7. I just recently, there's an influencer that was just walking and shared an incredibly lonely thing, and then said, "I'd love to hear your comments." And I was thinking to myself, wow, I can't believe he's sharing that with the public, as opposed to sharing that with a couple of friends or community, and I hope that he is.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also the abandonment, Mansoor. People don't talk about that, but I will. I think that there's a feeling of, okay, the crisis is over. I'm tired. I'm going back to my normal scrolling, and the people who have been literally fighting are like, maybe they need something. I don't know what it is even, but something. There's. I feel like there's a sense of, they think the crisis is over, but maybe it isn't, and we need to carry this on somehow. I think everyone's also trying to figure it out.
Everything is trying to figure it out, man. Everyone. But an interesting question that I have for you.
Sure.
Do you remember like a moment that was the breaking moment for you during the whole time of October 7 until, the end of the
Sure.
war?
Very clearly. Very
A
clearly.
moment that you cried, broke down. I don't know, like, do you mind sharing that?
Sure. When it was when we all found out that Hirsch and Eden Yerushalmi and the other four hostages had been executed,
Hmm.
and we received that news, the blow was so strong, the feeling of loss and hopelessness was so profound, for me and many people, that it kind of came out of left field, and you didn't want to believe it was true. And I think a lot of it had to do with Hirsch's parents, that
Yeah.
put up the fight that they did, and with the values and the spirit and the positivity that they did, that it was an absolute nightmare. And if this could happen to them, where are we going? And I have to tell you that, to me, that couple has carried a nation. And when I say nation, I mean a nation of people, not just the people of Israel, but the Jewish people and all people who subscribe to decent values. That killed me to know what they were going through, and that we lost all of those people. It was a crushing moment for me. And I was like, how am I
Wow.
going to talk about anything and who am I to talk about anything? Um, it was absolutely awful. So many things were awful. Going down to the Gaza envelope and experiencing firsthand in the weeks after the events, and interviewing people and showing the world what happened, and walking into these rooms with bullets and grenades when you can still smell the burn in the air, and you know what it's like as a soldier. Um, it was, and I'm still processing it, because for 2 years you're like, it's like, now is the come down. Now is the time where I'm, as a human being, I'm starting to process what I've been through and what I need to keep doing. Those are the two things that come to mind. And also the
Yeah,
euphoria of the hostages coming home in a positive way, um, in a bittersweet way, because of all those that didn't come home. What about you?
that's true. Wow, I wasn't about to say the Hirsch one, but you're right. That was definitely one of them. I think one of the first things that I thought when I heard that is immediately I thought about the family, his parents, and the mother. And somehow in my head, I'm a very, very visual person. I imagine a mother going down her knees and just screaming out of pain, like trying
Yeah.
to dig inside her, it's like physical pain that I can't even imagine. And I just said, like, I can't even begin to imagine the pain that you must be going through as a mother who lost her child, who held for so long and fought so bravely and strongly to get him back. And there was a few rescue attempts that they almost managed to get to him,
Yep.
but we know that he was with Sinwar, and they had orders that if the IDF gets any closer, just execute them. And just this whole thing, that was terrible. I mean, that's definitely one of the moments for sure.
And
The
imagine
moment
the
that
moment that it's. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, please.
the moment that got me before that was a friend of mine sent me a video of a song of Boaz Sharabi
Mm-hmm.
when he was singing the song
La
Kshetavo, I think.
tête. Ah,
Latet,
je
yeah.
Okay.
I think, yeah, one of the two, with the grandmother of one of the kids that was kidnapped. He was released. He got back home alive. I don't remember the name exactly, but when she was singing the song with him, and you can see she was screaming in pain, I looked at her and I said, "Oh my God, they kidnapped her son. They kidnapped her daughter, like his parents. What a terrible fate to have. You raise your kids, they bring kids, and then they come and they kidnap both of them. And now she's crying for her child to come back and for her grandchild to come back. And when I saw the tears in the eyes of that grandmother, it broke me. Somehow it got me, and I just started crying. I think I cried the whole
Sure.
night. I think I was just sitting like alone. I didn't talk to anyone back then. I just kind of, put the kids back in bed, went to the sofa, and just started sobbing. I think my kid never even knew that there was a war happening in Israel. He was like 4. I kept this from him. He probably knows a little bit now. Kids in Israel know because sirens. You need to run to
We're
the bomb
living.
shelter.
We're running all the
Exactly.
time. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's very hard to hide that from them. But
Yeah.
kids who are living outside, like here in Germany, and there was no need for him to know at the age of 4. Like literally
No.
no need to know that there's this kind of evilness and wickedness happening in the world. But these are things that you carry inside you. You're talking about burnout. These are
You
charges
have
that
to.
you keep putting inside, and if you ignore them, they will somehow. You know the story about the potatoes, the rotten
The story
potatoes.
about the potatoes. I don't know the story about the potatoes, but I'd love to hear the story about the
That's a
potatoes.
good story. That's a good story. So
I love a good potato story.
yeah, there was a kid in school that was always doing trouble, and then the school teacher one day came and told him, "Listen, we can either give you timeout, or every time that you lie or do something wrong, we're gonna put a potato in your backpack." And
Mm.
he thought about it for a second. Well, I'll take the potato deal, but you can't. You must always carry the backpack on you. You can't take it out, carry it on. There's no forgiveness. A potato. He thought he got it, so he was doing whatever he wants. Come late, lie here, lie there, potato here, potato there. But after several days, several weeks, several months, it was rotten. It was stinking. He wanted to die. He couldn't bear the smell and the feeling, and everything around him was just disgusting. And I feel the same thing as a lot of time with trauma, with hard things that you go in life. If you don't let it out, if you keep it inside, it have the risk of rotting you inside, of hurting you inside, and you want to let it go. You want to let it out. And I think a lot of times, we content creators, with the work that we're doing, sometimes you just don't have time to do it,
No.
and many don't even have the people around them, because it could be a lonely life. For
Hmm.
people who are doing it all the time, it could be a lonely life. You're living in a social media realm. You're like living. You need to have some kind of an anchor to hold you in reality. Some don't have that, and it's
Well,
a black hole. You
it's
can fall into it.
yeah, it's to me, I have a 10-year-old and a 12-year-old, and look, up until October 7th, my big platform was Facebook, and it was a very lovely community. It was a Jewish community that I grew over the course of many, many years. And it was lovely. On Facebook, there's not a lot of anonymous people, and you can build a community. And then after October 7th, everything started going a little bit crazy with with the work getting more exposure. And I don't like social media that much. I know that that's going to sound funny when people see me, but I try and live my life. And I think that it's very important. Again, maybe it's the age. And remember, the people who are in their 20s, they didn't grow up the way that we grew up when we were in our 20s. Social media wasn't a thing. They've grown up knowing that social media is a thing, but social
Yeah.
media is not the thing. What is the thing is life and touching the grass and going out and being with your friends. So my message always when it comes to social media is, and this is what I'm trying to do with I'm That Jew, as you know, is social media is a means to an end. The impact is to be made not on it's like make the impact on social media so that you can get out of social media in your immediate life and make the difference of speaking up about your identity, speaking to people who maybe don't know the truth about whatever the subject is, and showing up in real life, because it's poison if you're not
Hmm.
careful. And remember, we're to people listening. I know that a lot of people have been writing comments, and I'd like to apologize because I'm not, because we're focused on the conversation right now. But the community of pro-Israel advocates, sorry, the community of the followers of pro-Israel advocates, I think, need to understand that there are people out there who are hurting and they need support. And to the advocates who are listening or who hear this, that's okay. People have been warriors and people have been fighting and not sleeping for years, dealing with very difficult um, content while you're being attacked, and while
Hmm.
your friends who are in the army and your family members, even if you're abroad, are being put in harm's way. And everyone here, as you know, Mansour, knows someone when it comes to the hostages and the soldiers. This is very, very difficult. And I hope that people start talking about it openly, and that the audience doesn't translate that as whining and complaining, and understanding that they have a role too,
Hmm.
to help those people who have put themselves on the line in the public eye to defend Israel and the Jewish
Yeah.
people and the Druze people, like many people did to support you.
Hmm.
Um, it's real. It's okay to talk about it. It doesn't mean that we're
Yeah.
weak.
Yeah.
It means that we're
No,
strong when we talk about it.
it doesn't mean. I think there's something unique about being a content creator, advocate, that is actually from Israel or have family in Israel, or a Druze, from Syria, from Israel with family, because you have skin in the game.
Hmm.
You have skin in the game. Just like you said, you
Hmm.
might yourself be running to a bomb shelter on a daily basis, not, barely sleeping at night during the war with Iran. I was in Israel when that happened. Like we'd wake up 3, 4 times a night and run to the bomb shelter. And then the next morning I'll wake up and try to do content creation. And you have your life, and you have family in Israel, in Syria, soldiers that you have skin in the game. It's a bit different than being just someone trendy from Alabama or from Kazakhstan
Yeah.
that jumped on a trendy train. Some of them might actually care about it, but some just, oh, it's a trendy topic, let's talk about it. The burnout there is probably not as demanding as someone who is literally, you're fighting for your family, you're fighting for your country, for
Yep.
your
You're
values,
fighting for your identity. You're fighting for walking into a room when you say that you're an Israeli outside of Israel, and people not turning their back on you, or it's like literally the 30s, in Germany.
It
If you
is.
say that you're, yeah, it really is that for a lot of people. And
Hey,
for
you
the
want to hear
people
something
who are,
crazy? Sorry
yeah,
for
yeah, yeah.
cutting.
Let me
You
just,
mentioned it. Go
yeah,
ahead.
go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
Oh, no, no,
No,
no.
no.
I was just going to say that for the people who have put themselves out there very publicly, whether it's actors or performers or politicians or journalists or people like you or me, um, there is, you know, a lot of the people are doing it because it's the right thing to do, and we're trying to save our kind of like save our society, from losing it to another way of thinking. And that there's a cost to that, and we
Hmm.
all have skin in the game if we believe in the sanctity of life, in the value of truth, and we all have skin in the game. So sorry, anyway, go ahead, you were about to
No,
say
no,
something.
you're right, and I just wanted to
And
mention, because you mentioned Germany in the 30s, and you know how many times now I had to think twice, three times when I was asked where I'm from. The other day, I was taking a taxi, and the taxi
Mhm.
driver, he spoke Arabic, and he asked me, "Where are you from?" And I didn't want to tell him I'm from Israel. I didn't want to tell him I'm a Druze. Suddenly, I can't say that I'm in Israel. I can't say that I'm a Druze because he was Syrian. I don't want him to know where I live. Same thing, like I was going to buy pizza the other day with my kid. And we go to the pizza place. Guys there are speaking Arabic. And they suddenly ask me, "Hey, where are you from?" And, I thought about it for a second, and I told him I'm from Israel. And then he froze. And then I looked at him and said, "We're neighbors." And I was trying to have a nice conversation, but I saw that I didn't want to talk to him anymore.
Yeah.
And I went outside and I said, like, is this normal that I need to be afraid to say that I'm from Israel, to say that I'm a Druze, to say that you're a Jew in Germany? Like, it's happening again, man. It's real. I am living here.
It's
It's
real.
real. I think about it every time when I'm asked. I think about it every time when my kid calls me Abba in the street.
Sure.
And I had German friends that actually came, told me in a good way. They told me, maybe you should tell your kid to stop calling you Abba.
Hmm.
And they didn't mean it in a bad way.
No, they're
Like, they
trying to
meant it
protect you. Mhm.
exactly. But then I looked at
Mhm.
them and I said, like, don't you guys think that this is crazy? That people should be afraid to speak Hebrew again in Germany? And the solution is to tell kids not to call their parents Abba because someone might want to hurt them. Like,
So you know what I
isn't that
so
enough?
so you know what I think? I think it is, and I think we need to start saying it. It is normal. It's like before what we were going through, like in the last 20, 30 years,
Hmm.
that was the anomaly. And it's very sad to say that,
Yeah,
but
it's crazy.
people are shit.
Yeah.
People are not born. Um, I don't want to say that they're born evil. People are not born evil, I don't think, but people are not born good. They learn behavior and they learn values, and there's a social structure to it. It's nurtured. So now we're at a point that unless we correct this um, awful normalcy of what you just described, and worse stories, um, then we're going backwards in time. And it's something that Ellie and I talked about in a piece that we
Hmm.
made, which is like the world is barbaric. The world is not what people want it to be. And I think that that's the illusion that has been created over the last few decades. The world is actually a very
Hostile.
can be a hostile place, and you
Yeah.
need to fight that with order and social structure and values and the way that you communicate, and all of that stuff. But it
Hmm.
is normal, and we need to fight to go back to um, the way that things were until recently. And it's much bigger than Israel. I mean, there's polarization with social media, there's Russia and Ukraine, there was Trump and Biden, there's what's going on in Africa. There's like the whole world is feeling very dangerous. And you know why? Because right now the world is dangerous, and it's on the people who want it to be a better place to fight. And
Yeah.
that's what the advocates are doing, and that's an immense amount of burnout. But
Hmm.
who the fuck else is doing it?
Yeah,
Who else is
man.
doing it?
It's just sad because we had it good, we had it running good for us for a few years. There was a few years that our generation was born into a very rare time in history
Yep.
where there's human rights, where there was relatively stability in some parts of the world. There was no borders in
Hmm.
Europe, and there were countries that were safe, and people were, for a very short time, if you look at the spectrum of history, people were curious about you when you came to their country to visit. They wanted to know. You didn't want to kill you immediately in Allah Akbar and run you in the street with a Toyota. And then very fast, it's starting to go back to how it was before. And that is sad. That is like,
That's the
everybody
fight.
is under, yeah, there's like storm and clouds and thunders and lightnings and I don't know what, in a very dark world. And humans managed to get out above the cloud for a little while to stand on the peak and enjoy like a beautiful serenity. And now we're
Yep.
just falling down again under the clouds into that darkness. And you're right, like the people who were living in that peak thought like, oh, this is normal, that's how life should be. But actually, it's sad to say, but most of humanity is full of slavery, full of death, murder, wars,
Power.
diseases, power.
Power
Yeah,
by
it's
corrupt
insane.
people. So we have to. So I think that's a just very depressing content. But war is, if you look at like real war, like the war that we just went through, but I'm talking about the physical war, the actual fighting war with soldiers, all the wars that we've heard about before we were born. If you don't fight for what you have for this golden era, that we've just kind of like, we feel like it's moving away from us, we'll lose it. And um and you just and it just landed on a lot of people's doorsteps. On October 7th, it just blew up. But
Hmm.
I think about the message that it sends to the rest of the world. What type of world are we living in where something like that happens and the wrong people are blamed, and a huge portion of the world believes that story? That is the fight of our lives. and
Yeah.
and I think that I'm not able to not speak up. um I must.
Yeah, yeah.
I must. It's what I know how to speak. So I'm going to leverage what I'm good at, like others leveraged what they were good at, and continue to in different fields, to fight the good fight. Just be aware that it's a fight. I think advocacy is a fight, and I'm saying this to the advocates now, and I'll be the granddaddy that says it. Um, be aware that what you are doing takes its toll, and look after yourselves. And there's no shame in saying that. And the audience needs to hear it. And leaders who are watching the work that a lot of these people are doing and benefiting from the work need to show support, whether it's financial or funding or partnerships or whatever it is,
Hmm.
because it's traumatizing. A lot of people are traumatized. People are not talking about it. People are afraid to talk about it openly. It's crazy, especially now. But the whole country is in a trauma here. The
Especially
whole
now
country.
because, yeah, especially now because it's like when you're adrenaline, when you're at war, when you get hit by a car, when you're like someone's trying to rob you, something catastrophe is happening, adrenaline kicks in, you're
Hmm.
fighting, you're doing the right things, you're doing what you need to survive. But then when danger is away, that's when adrenaline goes down, and that's when your body suddenly collapse. That's when
Yeah,
your body suddenly sends you messages that, I'm not well. Now I can't cry.
yeah,
Now I need to rest. Now I need a
yeah,
hug. Now I need to
yeah.
find the stability, the ground to stand on. Exactly, exactly. And I think this war for so long, have taken so much from so many content creators that just left what they did and went, got called to the flag and went and did the right thing day and night. And now is a good time to check on them.
Yeah,
Now
I
is a good
agree.
time to also them check on themselves.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
know,
Take care of yourself, and the war is not over. It's very important for people who are good at this and who want to continue fighting the good fight to invest time in themselves as well. Um, you're constantly being bombarded with hate. A lot of the audience doesn't know the amount of hate that we get privately, the
oh
death
yeah.
threats, I've had my many times my picture manipulated to make me look like something that I'm not, like real Nazi shit. And
Hmm.
like you said before, I've got kids, I've got my wife, I've got friends, I've got a business. But there are lots of people that, and that's hard enough for myself as well. But there are lots of people that don't have anything. What they have is their audience and their content and their community of advocates and their friends and family, of course. But um, they need to check in on themselves, and there's no shame in that. And I hope that you do, whoever's listening. And I'm always here to
No,
talk to anyone who needs an ear, from our circle of advocates. Whatever I can do to help anyone, and I know that you feel the same way. I will do. And by the way, there's that too. People don't know that advocates are in touch and sharing what they're going through, and that's important as well, because it's
Amen
lonely,
to that.
you know.
Amen to that, brother. You're very true. Now, coming to wrapping up the show, I
Yes,
just want to
sir.
remind everybody this is Eitan. He is the guy from I'm That Jew, that brilliant uh, branding kind of thing. I don't
I
know how
can
you
see the
call
shirt.
this.
Here's the
Exactly.
one
You
shirt.
know, the
Here's a
image
mug.
is
Wear your Jewish pride.
exactly, and everybody wanted to be in that bullet board, pictures of there. It was
Oh,
brilliant.
the
I remember
posters.
the posters. I love the posters,
Mm-hmm.
man. The beginning, every time a
Mm.
new poster came, I was like running to see what's the new poster, who's the new person on the poster.
I'm trying to continue. I'm trying to continue.
You
It
should.
costs
I
money,
mean,
but I'm trying to race to continue. It's a forever, so that people see that we and our allies, because you've got one as well, your honorary Jew, are full of life, and we're bold, and we're full of energy, and we're colorful, and we contribute to the world. And that's the point of that campaign. But yes, I'm that Jew.
beautiful campaign, man. And I think to wrap it
Thank you.
up and finish on a good note is,
Yes, sir.
what kind of a tip do you have for people out there that helps you deal with this madness? Something that helps you that might help others.
It's a great question. I was just in Australia a few months ago, and I spoke to, I must have met around 6 or 7 thousand people. I did almost 25 events, and what I found was a group of people getting together, as a community, is a very strengthening thing. And whether it's, on in a small form, like you invite friends over, uh, or whether it's going to, an event where it's a hopeful event. I think that community plays a really big, is can really impact you positively. And I'm a bit of a hermit. Like, I don't know what it looks like on social media, but I I like to be at home. And I found that in the last few weeks, immediately after the crisis, I go like this because we know that it's not over. Um, oh, someone just mentioned that they couldn't believe that I got into Australia. But yes,
Yeah,
I got it. I got into Australia, no problem, and it was fine. But if if you if you maintain this kind of solitude, uh, I suggest meeting people, and community,
yeah.
on all levels. Whether it's a conversation like this, which is not a dramatic, we haven't been talking about anything political. We've been talking about just people as people,
This was a
connecting as
very
people.
human conversation. Exactly. This was just
Yeah,
like,
and
how are you and how you doing? How do you deal with it?
yeah, and I think that that's what I was trying to say about Australia. Is when I went to Australia, it wasn't like a panel and then people talking and then they go home. It was it was a community event. I would take the microphone and I would go into the crowd and say, well, what do you think? And what do you think? And who agrees with that? And that actually made me feel good, that it wasn't just me, with and you can do that with your immediate circle, and you can do that with your, to meet people and to talk um about all sorts of things that we're all going through. That has actually helped me. Less online, more offline. That's what's helped me. What about you? I'd love to hear your answer to that question.
No, that was a good one. I 100% agree. Mine what helped a lot is that I made rules of stability and consistency in the middle of this madness. I told myself that on weekends I don't work, weekends for
Hmm.
family,
Yep.
and on weekends I'm not spending time on social media. I'm not spending time, on my phone unless I need to. It's for my kid, it's for my family, it's for my friend, it's for nature. And it's
Hmm.
hard, man. There was a lot of time that like crazy things happened in the weekend. And I was like,
Yeah.
whoa, I should go and talk about this one here. But I told myself I need that. And a very new like island of serenity that I just found in my life now is praying over the food with my family.
Oh, איזה יופי.
Yeah, yeah. It's
איזה
super
יופי.
crazy because suddenly I realized how important it is for my kid to have some kind of a traditional kind of ceremony that he's part
Hmm.
of, that later on he
Hmm.
can remember, we always held hands before the food and we thank God. So we're just holding hands and we're saying, we're thanking God and we're thanking life and we're thanking for our friends and we're just kind of sharing. And every time someone else prays and says thank you about something that is good in his life, and I suddenly find out that me for myself, I don't need that anymore as an adult. I don't need to have external traditions kind of implemented around me to give me some kind of
Hmm.
stability in my life. But I feel like I had it because my grandfather did it.
Yeah.
My parents did it. My friends did it. Their friends did it. And I was never thankful about it. It was just normal in my life. And only now as an adult, I realized that a lot of the things that formed me as a person who I am today were thanks to older generations that were in my life that created these traditions. And I started realizing, I want to create these traditions for my family. So
Sure.
these things, these anchors are the anchors that kind of pull me out from this madness. Muslim Brotherhood in America, Syria, Donald Trump, and the Europe, and Iran, and
All
what's
the
happening,
shit, all
all
the
the shit
crazy
that is
stuff.
going around, everything, like there's a scoop, and suddenly like, whew, okay, family time.
It's that's how I see Shabbat. As a Jew, and on Friday nights we light the candles for the most part, and then I do the the challah, the bread, saying the
Yeah,
prayer with our, and every family does it differently, but in our family, I put my hand on the challah, and the boys do as well, and some
wow.
other people do, and then we take the challah. I'm from, my father was he passed away a few months ago. He was Iraqi,
I'm
and
sorry.
in
Yeah, I
Iraq we
remember that.
that's okay. Thanks. I appreciate it, brother. He was a good man. But you take the challah and then you throw it to the person and they catch it. You don't slice it with a knife. That's a
Hmm.
tradition, and that makes me feel my heritage and where I come from. And there's a comfort there, and
Yeah.
it's a beautiful thing. And that's something that really helped us through the war, all the things that we typically do to continue doing them. So I really resonate with what you just said, brother. I really do.
Yeah, yeah, and it's like our job as adults to create these traditions for our children because adults
Yeah,
before us continued them for us. But now that I see it as a role that I have as a father, I'm gonna be, or the mother, you're gonna be setting the tone in this house that later on will be perceived as a tradition that he remembers. I remember the Friday dinners. I remember the times at home. I remember that
sure.
stability. So that holds me a lot. That's something that helps me. But brother,
Lean
I just
into
want
it,
to share.
brother.
Yeah, yeah. I just want to share again, that I'm sorry for the loss of your father. I remember
Oh,
when that
thank you.
happened, and I was thinking to myself, like, on top of everything right now, with everything that's happening, you also lost your father, and I'm sure that was not easy with the
No.
whole aspect of burnout thing. But you're a beautiful human, and you're an inspiration,
Oh,
and I know that you were there for me when
I
I
am.
needed you, and I called you, and you gave me good advice, good solid advice. And I want to wish you, man, and all of us, and every content creator, and not a content creator as well, and people that are making a living out of it, not making a living out of it, doing it out of passion or not out of passion. Guys, pay attention to yourself, pay
Yes.
attention to your heart, pay attention to your mind, pay attention to what is consuming your mind all the time, and take a break when
Yeah.
needed. Find healthy habits,
Yes.
stable habits. If it's friends, if it's going to a bar, if it's family, if it's
Go
just
to the
going out,
light. Go to the
go to the
light.
light, walk in the
Yeah.
forest, barefoot
Yeah.
on the beach. Do something that connects you with life, with planet Earth, with your God, with your family and friends, and not just in the social media, because it's so important and we can't express how much. I really hope this conversation was helpful for the people back home. I just want to remind
Hope
everyone
so
to
too.
go and check Eitan's. I'm going to put his handles in this video. Check him on Facebook, on Instagram, on X, on YouTube, on TikTok. I don't know if you're, on TikTok as well.
Unfortunately, I have to be on TikTok, which I can't. And by the way, my followers as well, because you'll be sharing this video on all the platforms. Follow Mansoor. You're amazing, and the only thing that bums me out is that you don't live here, because we'd be hanging out a lot if you did.
Definitely, man. I wish. I wish. I remember we did
Yeah,
meet last time when I went.
we
And
did
Chitayat
meet. We
Khatufin.
met. Okay, نخون.
Yeah, yeah.
But we're in touch
And we
like
did a
this.
cool video together, and I never had a chance to even like upload it, which I remind
Ah,
myself all the time. Yeah, remember we did a
yeah,
video.
upload it.
I
Do it.
should definitely should do it.
Yeah, and thank you to also to just all the people that have been commenting that we haven't really been able to address. But thank you to everyone who's been commenting, and really appreciate you guys too. So yeah,
Exactly, exactly. All right, guys, like I always finish, have a great week, weekend, wherever you are, day, night, and in general, just a good advice for life. Just don't do anything stupid. It will make your life much better. Stay safe.
love it. Thank you.